In 1929, the world discovered a terrifying truth. Prosperity can be an illusion. One day, Wall Street was the engine of an unstoppable future. The next, it was a graveyard of ambition. Fortunes that took generations to build evaporated in hours. Banks locked their iron gates. Millions were left with nothing but dust. Most history books tell us this was a singular event, a tragic chapter that closed a century ago. But what if they are wrong? What if the Great Depression never really ended, but merely evolved? Look around you. Why do prices keep climbing while wages stand still? Why does owning a home feel like an impossible dream for the new generation? Why does global debt grow faster than our ability to pay it back? These aren't random misfortunes. They are the echoes of a system built on the same three pillars that collapsed a century ago: risk, greed, and illusion. Today, we are going to peel back the layers of the modern economy to show you why the alarms of 1929 are ringing again. But this time, the stakes are higher. Before we dive into the abyss, let me ask you, where are you watching from? And do you feel richer or poorer than you did 5 years ago? Let me know in the comments. And if you want to understand the invisible forces shaping your wallet, make sure to subscribe. Now, let's travel back to the edge of the cliff. To understand where we are going, we must understand where we've been. The late 1920s wasn't just a time of wealth. It was a time of mania. They called it the New Era. The belief was seductive and simple. The old rules of economics no longer applied. Technology was booming: radio, automobiles, electricity. Credit was cheap. Politicians promised that poverty would soon be eradicated. Does this sound familiar? In 1929, teachers, farmers, and mechanics were borrowing money to buy stocks on margin. They were gambling with money they didn't have, on companies they didn't understand. Today, the ticker tape has been replaced by crypto charts and trading apps. The margin loans have been replaced by leverage and options trading. The technology has changed, but the human psychology? It is identical. It is a culture of optimism built entirely on borrowed money. In the 20s, it was installment plans for radios. Today, it is buy now, pay later for groceries. The instrument changes, but the trap remains the same. When the music stopped in October 1929, the silence was deafening. The crash didn't just wipe out paper wealth. It exposed that the entire economy was a hollow shell. But here is the critical lesson that most people miss. The crash didn't cause the Great Depression. The crash was just a symptom. The disease was the structure itself. And that disease has returned, fueled by one massive ingredient: debt. In 1929, household debt had reached unprecedented levels. People were spending tomorrow's money to live today. But compare that to 2025. Today, global debt sits at over 300% of the world's total GDP. We are not just spending tomorrow's money. We are spending the money of generations not yet born. Back then, banks sold risky loans disguised as opportunities. Today, the financial system has engineered products so complex: derivatives, swaps, bundled securities that even the bankers don't fully understand the risk. This debt fuels a massive wealth gap that destabilizes everything. In 1929, the top 1% held a staggering amount of the nation's wealth. When the bubble burst, the rich lost fortunes, but the poor lost their lives. Look at the data today. The top 1% owns more wealth than the bottom 90% combined. Corporate profits are breaking records while real wages stagnate. The middle class is being squeezed out of existence, using debt to fill the gap between their income and the cost of survival. It is the same script, just updated for a new century. But surely we have learned? Surely the people in charge know how to prevent this. This brings us to the most dangerous parallel: the illusion of control. In the late 1920s, the Federal Reserve kept interest rates low to fuel the party. When they finally tried to slow things down by raising rates, they accidentally popped the bubble. Fast forward to today. Central banks are trapped in a nightmare of their own making. For years, they printed trillions of dollars to keep the economy afloat. Now, they face an impossible choice. Keep printing money and destroy the value of your currency through inflation, or raise rates and crash the entire system. They are walking a tightrope over a volcano. In 1929, they fell. Today, they are wobbling. We saw a glimpse of this fragility recently. When banks start to wobble, the panic spreads instantly. But unlike 1929, the system today is global. A shock in New York isn't just an American problem. It's a crisis for London, Tokyo, and Shanghai within seconds. The interconnections that were supposed to make us stronger have only made us more vulnerable to contagion. What made 1929 so devastating wasn't just the financial math. It was a failure of imagination. People believed prosperity was permanent. They believed that this time is different. They trusted that the government had tools to fix everything. We are making the same mistake today. We trust central banks to control the cycles. We trust that a recession is just a relic of the past. But stability built on debt and speculation isn't real. It is borrowed time. The Great Depression taught us that trust is the most valuable currency in the world. When trust in the system evaporates, no amount of printed money can save it. In the 30s, that loss of trust led to political extremism, social unrest, and eventually, global conflict. Today, we see the cracks forming again. Populism is rising. Anger at inequality is boiling over. Distrust in institutions is at an all-time high. The economic pain is turning into political chaos, just as it did back then. So, where does this leave us? The global economy stands at a familiar edge. Growth slows. Debt climbs. The pattern is old, even if the context is new. But history is not destiny. The lessons of 1929 are there for those willing to see them. The system fails not when markets fall, but when people forget why they rose in the first place. If you study 1929 carefully, one theme repeats: denial. Journalists dismissed the first drops as healthy corrections. Politicians called it temporary turbulence. Bankers insisted fundamentals were sound. By the time they admitted the truth, it was too late. Don't let that be you. The ghost of 1929 isn't in history books. It's in every decision to chase profit without foundation, to ignore warnings for comfort. So ask yourself, if the conditions of 1929 return tomorrow, would you be ready? Or have we built a system so complex, so confident, that it can no longer see its own reflection? If this video made you think differently about today's economy, share it with someone who needs to wake up. Are we wiser now, or are we just walking the same path in better suits? Let me know your thoughts below. I'm the Economic Chronicler. See you in the next chapter of history.